Right, not up to 4, but we
But
also, we get money back.
We get money back from that.
So is that an offset? When I say an offset,
No.
donations?
No, that $4,000 figure does not count in the offset. I would like to know what that is. I've asked for it several times, so that we can have a separate line item to kind of verify that these, we get paid for the flag, we get paid for a lot of things. So I don't think the 4,000 is an accurate figure as far as what the city puts out on its own without getting reimbursed.
The idea too with this was just, kind of explained this, I thought before to council and city managers that, every year maybe we add a little bit to the budget to kind of try to make the event bigger and better. But it's totally up to council to decide on what direction we want to go, so.
Right.
As part of this budget, when we set up the budget, we're going to set up a new account for insurance reimbursements, and then we'll set up a separate account for reimbursements for this party or the Christmas party. So we'll have a separate line item, we'll move it out of the miscellaneous where it's at now.
Okay, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand. I think the city needs to celebrate where they can, but I also, when you're taking 4,000 here, 4,000 there, and we're talking about removing a payment for an exhaust system so that we can pay for our Christmas tree, I get a little bit cranky. Okay, so that covers that item. I have a question about the TMDL. I know it's probably jumping in different places here, but that's where I made my notes. It's been requested several times for us to increase our donation, our commitment to TMDL. It is not in here. They asked for us to do it up to 10,000, up to 20,000, and we're at 10,000 right now, because that's what the other people at the table are paying. We need to at least have a discussion on that. We haven't had a discussion on that.
Are you talking the Lejua?
Yeah,
Donation.
sorry, not the TMDL, Leshma.
Yeah, that right now is at 10. And
Right.
so that's a discussion I've with council.
Everybody else at the table is paying 20. They've asked us to increase that. I forgot to remind you that you had gotten the emails also to increase this.
Right, I thought we talked about that once you were gonna bring that up at your last one meeting when you were comfortable, so
Yeah.
we can have that discussion. We can obviously have with the budget, have that discussion now. As being the sitting board member, do you feel it's prudent that we need to increase it the full 10, partial, leave it at 10? What's your feeling
Well, we're
based
in the
on
middle.
what
I would like to see Mark Norton have a chance to come out and explain why this is beneficial to Canyon Lake
Okay.
and why we need to do this. I sit on that board and I
Right.
listen to what has to be done, but there's a little gray area in there as far as who should also be paying for this. We are a government agency, so we're on the board because that's what's required, or so I've been told. But I don't know that all of the responsibility for the lake health needs to be on the lap of Canyon Lake. So that's, I would really like to I need to have that in there so that if we decide to do that, then we do it. But I'd like Mark to have a chance to come out and explain why that's important to Canyon Lake and why we are in this position now.
Can
Is
I
that
ask,
okay with everybody?
Vicki, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Since I don't quite understand how they work the fee structure. Obviously, it's not based on size of jurisdiction.
Right.
Is it one fee for everybody, whether they're 100,000, 200,000, or,
That's what I've been,
or
that's what I've been
10,000?
told, yeah.
So there's no formula to calculate?
Right, basically, it's all of the people, the entities who hold jurisdiction over what goes into the lake.
Okay.
And so that's how it's broken down. Beaumont, Moreno Valley, several others. So if we can,
So those are the people who contribute to the runoff issues that we end up receiving.
yes, yeah,
So what I can do is I can contact Mark and we can set that up for the 12th.
okay.
And after his presentation, and you grill and get all your questions answered, if that's whatever increase the council decides to do, if they decide to do an increase, we can do a budget amendment at that time.
Sure.
Okay.
So is there, just for clarification, is there 10,000 in the budget now?
That's what we've been contributing, but they've been asking for a long time. The reason we went to 10 instead of the usual 20 that everybody else is paying is because we were struggling so much. So of course, they see the same thing that everybody here sees, that we're not struggling as much, and they'd like us to start paying what they consider to be our fair share, but Mark would be better trained at explaining why that is.
I'll contact Mr. Norton and see if he can make the 12th meeting.
Okay.
What was the formula originally when we first entered into this?
That I don't know. I was not part of it and I haven't been able to see
Did we
it.
just picking them out and say this is what we could afford at the time? I mean, I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't seem to remember.
I don't believe that was the case. I think that they were looking at what it cost initially to, for the testing and so forth and monitoring of the situation. This is an EPA-related requirement. But I don't know what formula they used to choose.
I seem to have thought that they were asking for more originally.
Yeah, they were. I know that. I know that they were asking, I think it was 50 for each. And people
Well, it was something a lot more than we could afford.
Right, right.
That's all I remember about it, sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree, that I don't know. I have a question about the vehicles that we have in here. We have the Jeep for the high clearance, correct?
Right.
And the Jeep is listed at 60,000? I did a little shopping. We don't have to spend 60,000 on the Jeep.
Mike?
And the research.
What that also includes is, first of all, it's an estimate, but what it also needs to include is the equipment that has to be added to the vehicle. I think there's a light board that needs to be added, or a light. There's a lot of components, I think, a radio, things that are somewhat necessary. You still have to also get the graphics for it. So it was just an estimate. It was just an estimate. Now, keep in mind too, AVA is going to be paying a portion of that, 60% of that.
Right. Yeah, 40% is what was said last time. Is it 60%?
60, AVA is going to cover 60% of it, the city 40.
Okay.
Of the 60?
And there's another
Yes,
vehicle
yes.
also, a truck? I think?
Yeah, the other vehicle is, it's more of a mid-size SUV, and it's intended for code enforcement. That one is going to be covered 100% through AQMD money.
Okay.
Are we taking the oldest vehicles and moving them out of the fleet, or is this additional to the fleet?
Well, I think the Yukon, we decided to take that sort of out of the fleet of code enforcement, just because it's really not a vehicle that should be out in the BLM plan. I mean, it's taken a lot of abuse and a lot of repairs, so
So we'll
the
sell it.
idea was the Jeep is going to sort of replace that,
Okay.
whereas the mid-size SUV is going to be more for code enforcement throughout the city.
I have more. If anybody else wants to ask their questions, they're welcome to.
You're rolling.
Sorry. I'm concerned with Ivan's replacement. We learned last time that Ivan was leaving us.
Yeah.
So he will be replaced. What we need is another Ivan. What I don't believe we need is the additional code enforcement. The budget that we have, I've looked, I've tried to justify. What I don't want to do is, again, we're not looking at what can we afford right now.
Right.
We've got to look at what can we afford
For
in
the
3
future.
years. And I don't want to have an employee that now 3 years down the line, I have to find a way to get rid of because we have an employee on the books that we don't necessarily absolutely need. So how do we prove to me, if not everybody, why we need this officer?
I think part of that too is the officers what we're trying to do is to get them more involved, not just from a special enforcement side, but from a code side. So it's more of a matter of combining the duties that's going to involve code enforcement as well. So with regards to Ivan, and not to talk down as far as what Ivan was doing, but he was more of kind of like a security guard in a sense, because he wasn't doing much of citation writing, those type of things that would be involved in code enforcement. So, and as well as special enforcement. So it's somebody that's a little bit more that can transition to do a little bit of everything.
So why do we not just replace Ivan with somebody who can do that little bit of everything instead of an additional?
And that is the plan. So the plan is to replace Ivan.
with a higher paying employee altogether? I'm confused.
No, there's no higher paying, it's still a part-time position that will be filled that way. I think are you talking about the code enforcement tech position?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be Ruby's position to upgrade because of the fact that we're doing a lot more code. Jean is primarily, and she's here part-time.
Part of the issue that we've had over the years, from what we've seen, and Terry can attest to this too as well, some of the citation fees and collections have gone down considerably from, I don't know, was it like 60,000 over the years to maybe like 10 to 15,000? Part of that is that the departments weren't following through with administratively. So we need to have somebody here that's more full-time in a sense, and sort of Ruby would be that sort of person to do that. Not only from that standpoint, but including business license too as well. We're so behind the curve when it comes to business license too. There's so much more that we're supposed to be doing and we're not doing, and we're not following through because part of the issue, I mean, the departments have been a part-time basis. Having Ruby here doing that on a full-time basis makes more sense because they can handle all the administrative portion of that every single day at all times.
So how has this changed from last year, that this is suddenly an issue? And is it because Ruby is doing other things that she should be doing this? Because I'm still concerned that now we have an Ivan that needs to be replaced.
Which he will.
Right, and I'm wondering just why can't that person also be in charge of the code enforcement? Why do we need a?
Well, I think from Ivan's standpoint, he's more out in the field.
Okay.
More of that enforcement type person. Ruby's position will involve that, but for the most part, it's going to be more in-house here. She's sort of doing that right now too already because she is sort of our business license specialist, which sort of falls involved, which is part of enforcement too as well. So she's overseeing that. So it's going to be somewhat of a slight transition for her, but it's going to be involving her and making sure that she follows through with all the administrative portions that we're supposed to be following through on a day-to-day basis because it's been something that's not been happening in quite some time.
But am I correct that a certain percent of the time will be for the office and a certain percent for code enforcement?
Yes, so
not
how-
full-time code enforcement?
So how we're budgeting Ruby is a portion of her is paid through NPDS. Part of it will also come out of the city clerk's office, which is kind of where she sits right now. And then the new portion will be coming out of code enforcement.
The other thing that I'm going to be really looking for, we talked about this, is in the very near future, we really need to start doing a better cost recovery, a cost accounting.
And that's what I mean about administrative.
Because we got a baseline of services, I understand that. You walk in, you issue a permit, you get this amount. Any additional time on top of that has to have some fee schedule that goes with it, and we're not doing that.
Right.
And part of our ability to survive is our cost recovery efforts, and I think that's very important.
And this would promote that?
I'm saying, I'm not knowing if it would promote it, I'm not going to say that. We need a mechanism in place that states this is how we do our business, and I don't see that there yet. I've asked the question,
Right.
I've looked at it several times, I've talked to Terry about it. We have nothing in place right now that sits down that I can track her time, not our time,
Right.
because we were
Oh my God.
very efficiently here.
You can't say it was.
We figured it out, it's about 15 cents an hour, but it's well worth it, trust me. I know it's on camera, so, sorry about that. But anyway, that's where we're working.
From a training standpoint too, Ruby has already been, she already has somewhat of a background in education in code enforcement, so it's going to be somewhat of a slight transition from that. There'll be some training that's still involved that she's going to be required to have, but she's already has started this prior to us even thinking about moving forward in this direction.
So Ruby would go from a part-time to a full-time?
No, Ruby is full-time.
That's what I thought, so I got confused when you said it was.
Yeah, no, she's full-time. Ivan was part-time. We're going to replace Ivan with another enforcement officer.
Okay,
Well, wait a minute.
all right. That's my question.
I thought she was gonna be partly as an office specialist in the office and half is, not half, but a certain percent have to do with code enforcement.
She's doing that on a full-time basis, all those three, all that. That makes sense.
No,
No, so this is a raise. I'm just trying to get to the bottom
Yeah,
line.
yes, it is, because she is transitioning to a code enforcement tech, so it is a raise from an office specialist.
She's gonna be doing both positions, part-time office specialist, part-time code, but she's a full-time employee.
So it was presented as a new position.
So it is a new position.
Okay,
well, now I have a problem,
okay.
because I don't think we have enough people in that office as it is. And we're gonna talk about this later in executive session. And now we're gonna have one less person?
No, she's still gonna be in the same location she's at, she's still gonna be doing the day-to-day things that are involved in the front office. She is now just gonna have a different title, and then she's gonna have some extended duties to do when it comes to code enforcement.
So why couldn't the title be office specialist / code enforcement?
We could do it.
That could be
Yeah,
done.
we can do that.
I would prefer that, because I want to make sure that people understand, yes, we're putting some additional efforts into the code enforcement, but we're not going to lose sight of the importance of having time when people come into the city hall.
Yeah, so stuff.
Yeah, that won't change, her responsibilities at the front there won't change.
I have a couple other questions, but I
Don't
have a,
take it personally.
no, it's not it, but I have a, because one of my questions involves our missing city clerk in the budget, and a need for an additional, what is the additional amount that we would be paying for Ruby's position?
I think, what, was it $3 an hour?
I think it was $1, so it came out to be, what, about $2,000?
About $2,000.
Yeah, oh, okay, well then maybe I'm misunderstanding, because mine was something, I wrote down 20,000.
No,
Okay.
she would.
Perhaps, we can get through the rest of my questions, or I can table it now and say that my suggestion is that I have a lot of questions on these things. I would like to see an ad hoc committee formed to discuss some of these items, and I would like to see where the need is for some of these things, a little bit more backup to us. I know it would mean that we would have to put off approving the budget for now, but I have some other serious questions on that, so I don't think that's as much of an issue. We can do an appropriations session in the meantime, but I would really like to look deeper into some of these things.
Well, Vicki, we're really supposed to have a budget approved when the new fiscal year starts with July 1st.
Right.
And we went through a draft, and I thought we had all the questions raised, and some changes is okay, but now to add an ad hoc committee and delay this, I think is a mistake.
Okay, I feel strongly that there are a number of questions, but I can keep going through them.
No, please do.
I would like to talk about the city clerk position. I had seen that there was a change in it. I didn't realize how much, but are we not having a city clerk now?
Right, it was my understanding that Ariel was to be phased out. We were going, and once Stephanie's got the training, she'd be promoted to deputy city clerk. That would be able to do those duties, since now Ariel is now out of state.
But the secretary, the city clerk isn't even in the budget.
Well, wait a minute. I just talked to Ariel this morning. Ariel Hall is the former city clerk, very experienced person, and was a city manager for a while. And she explained that when the change is going to be made in June, and I'm not sure June is the right time to do it. I thought it was going to be more September. But the city manager would be / city clerk, and Stephanie would be the deputy city clerk, not full-time. I mean full-time as far as working, but she's not going to be the city clerk. The city manager is going to have that position, and the deputy will be Stephanie.
That is how we propose this budget.
That's correct.
And we put,
That can't be.
4,000 in there for questions.
Well, Vicki, that's when Ariel was the city manager, it was the same thing.
She was acting city manager under a situation that was unique.
Right.
And I don't know that we've even, letting go of Ariel as a city clerk, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's a city council matter, not a, it has to come, okay, that hasn't come before us. So I'm guessing that we're not June, it's closer to probably the September date, maybe the end of summer, somewhere around there.
But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the city manager has communicated the June 1st to Ariel.
Well, I was waiting until the budget was to pass. According to her contract, she used to get 30 days notice.
Do you see what I
I
have?
hear what you're saying.
But these are the first things we did with the committee and with the council, is we went over all the staffing changes first.
Right.
And so that's part of the process of bringing it to the
And that
council
was
for your
one of
discussion.
That was one of the things I did raise, about looking at staffing levels and where people were. I actually thought there was a person missing,
Right,
and I went through and I kept saying, where is this person? Where is she? And it was Ruby, and actually it was you. And we, because of the
Changing the title.
reallocation, changing in titles and the moving of personnel with job descriptions, that's how they come back up to the TO. That's why I said that we really do need a table of organization at the front of our budget document so people know how many people are on board, who reports to whom, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, the published budget will have all that.
The published document will have those things we
Yeah.
recommended?
We'll have
Okay.
everything.
and I understand your concern that we've had these discussions, but as far as the council meeting to discuss these publicly, we haven't had those. There haven't been, we've had a few, but there's always been left open with questions and changes. I have heard through the grapevine that Aaron has met with different council members to discuss the budget. It hasn't happened with me.
I thought we all had an appointment.
No, we haven't met to discuss the budget.
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
I talked to Ariel on a different subject.
Right.
Well, she didn't call me or I didn't call her.
Right, I understand. Yeah, oh, no, I'm not worried about that. Okay, to go on with some of my questions, on page 47, there's other support services under city manager for 4,000. Just wondered what that 4,000 was.
I don't have my detail. Do you have the details that you gave there? Do you have the little pink and white thing that I gave you there? Do you have that? Let me see if I have it in here. No, it's a cheat sheet that we have.
That is,
I think there's one on the side of Aaron's desk. I'll go grab it. Yeah, that's.
I believe that's the lobbyist.
Well, the lobbyist was elsewhere.
Is that under,
So city manager.
no, that's right, we're like, should have been under council.
It says outside services licensing, 4,000. So,
Oh, other support services. Licensing, so that would be Microsoft Office 365.
yeah.
That doesn't say licensing, that's other support services, so you're saying that is for office, basically office-related equipment?
It's not for the equipment, it's for the license to use the software.
Okay, you may want to change that
Change
word,
that
because
now.
all it says is other support. I thought maybe that was for, I know your father has been consulting from time to time, and I couldn't find anything on
Oh,
here.
no, I would never pay him.
Okay,
He's free.
Okay, well,
He's either
that's-
free or he doesn't do it.
I thought maybe that was
No,
part of it, I
would
hadn't seen
never,
it.
I would never pay my father out of city funds,
Okay.
ever.
Vicki, here's another thing
Yeah.
that I have requested, because it is really difficult from the finance committee standpoint to really understand all the line item budget because of the verbiage. So
Right.
we've talked to Terry to try to better define terms so that we would have an idea what the 4,000 or these other items that are listed. Because a lot of times we can't determine other than asking.
Mhm.
So, I don't know if that adds anything, it obviously doesn't, still creates some confusion, obviously.
Right,
Yeah, I mean, we can give you whatever you need. So sometimes in the budget, there's items in there that explain what is in each account, so we can double that up.
yeah, well, because to me, other support services sounds almost like a person or a consultant in some way, it
No,
doesn't sound like.
it's the licensing of that.
We can make it
I was just
clear, we
more
could, it'd be more, a better description.
We talked about changing the departments around next year too, and then maybe separating all the IT stuff into one department, taking it out of the city manager, and then a little bit clearer, so.
Peggy, along from page 47, can I ask another question?
Sure.
The salaries and wages 2010 went from 205,214 up 9,000. What was the 9,000 come from?
Which page was that again? 47?
Page 47 right at the top.
That would be in the proposed increase for Mike based on his valuation. So that would be salary and then the
Mike is not
benefits.
I'm sorry, Mike is still on his probationary period, right?
Right, through, I believe, the middle or end of July.
Okay.
But I read the city manager contract, if I read it correctly, it says it's a 3-year contract at 130,000 annually.
That's what we
Correct.
budgeted, exactly 130.
So did this just increase?
This is Mike's position.
If you look on page, 47, if you look up on top in there, you
Right.
have city manager 130, administrative services manager 84. And part of it was only part year last year, that's why it seems like a bigger increase. It was
Oh,
just
because it's a
part-time
full year.
last year. Yeah, this is a full
Okay.
year.
Thank you.
But city manager's at 130.
Okay. Sorry. I got
We
excited.
gave them, what, a 3% raise? It was 2%? It was small, not big.
Oh, I see what that is. I already had that question answered, so I can take that off my list. I don't have that many more to go. See, my little slips are running out.
We appreciate the question.
Public Works, professional services went up 10,000. Professional specialized services.
Which page are you on?
Oh, sorry, 64?
So you're looking at 6610?
Yeah.
Went up to 114.4. Oh, animal control? Is that the one you're talking about?
No,
Page 64,
Oh, I'm on the wrong page, sorry.
red 64.
Yeah.
under operation and maintenance costs, professional specialized services?
This is just kind of an estimate based on, what's the name of the company?
Charles Abbott.
Charles Abbott, and based on work they're going to be doing this year. And so I didn't want to not have enough in there,
Yeah,
and they may not use all that, but that's what we budgeted. So.
Task Charles Abbott with regards to Public Works, they're giving us a detailed report of what they've done so far and what they see still left to do. And that'll be coming to the Admin and Finance Committee in July.
Vicky, I've requested a scope of work specific to this. We should be, as I looked at the city, we had gone through a period that there was a lot of projects or maintenance that was deferred just because of finance. Now they've caught up. I want to know what we're paying for in billable hours, projects, and those kind of things. Randy and I have asked that be detailed to see whether this is something we need to consider.
right,
And this has been flagged.
okay. So but that's, and we think that 10,000 will cover that? Is that what we're?
I believe that's it, but we're looking at every project that they
Okay.
propose.
We budgeted 40 last year and they went over, so I just increased it
Yeah.
to 10.
Okay,
But they're supposed to provide more detail. And then they present every finance committee what they've done, and they'll bring it to that committee.
Because all we're seeing right now, from our perspective, from the finance, is just raw numbers.
right,
No project attached to it, no hours
Right.
attached to it. And so we've asked that they come back to us with those numbers so we can see what we're paying for.
okay,
Because we need to make some decisions.
yeah, we do.
Yeah, we just went from nothing 2 years ago
Yeah.
to,
And that's, yeah, we're seeing that.
I found the spot where I had the question about, I think we're talking about two different things, so, about Ruby's salary. So page 69, red 69, our personnel total went up in special enforcement by $60,000.
The big reason is we budgeted Summer Ruby there, but before it wasn't there. That's like 27,000 of her salary. And then we upped Gina and made her the supervisor. And so we gave her Ivan's thing and we upped her hours. And so that's why that's up.
When you say you gave her Ivan's thing, what does that mean?
Ivan's was the supervisor and now
So
they're
she's a
they're
supervisor.
going, as part of this budget process, we want to promote Gina to supervisor.
Okay.
And then there was an increase in rate and then an increase in hours to cover the additional duties.
Okay, so the increase to Ruby is 27. Remember I said I thought I'd seen a 20,000?
That's just a part of her salary,
Okay,
not her whole salary.
okay.
So we gave her like a dollar raise, and
That's
so,
what's
and they
in the
worked
salary chart.
1,976 hours, so it's a little under $2,000 raise for Ruby. But that's, I think that's 60% of her salary there? I think that's 60% of her salary.
Right.
Okay, almost done, I promise.
No problem.
Building and facilities maintenance equipment,
Sure.
nothing over the last few years, and now we've got 4,400. That's page 70.
That's a new lunch furniture for the lunchroom, because we need a table and chairs in there for employees. That's what that is.
Okay. Tree trimming, I figured that out for myself, what's happened. Our landscaper, I assume, doesn't do that's not part of the contract, trimming the trees, we have to have somebody separate.
That's correct.
Is that the gas tax fund?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the AQMD, it says 55,000 under AQMD, page 74.
Okay. That's for the purchase of the vehicle?
That's for the truck.
Yes.
And that's what's coming out of there. They'll pay that, that's
Yeah,
fully
and-
funded?
Yes,
And those are funds we have to expend by 18.
yes. Either use it or give it back.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
And that's when you license your car, you pay a small fee,
right.
and then it gets
That's
distributed based on population. So,
I think those are my questions.
Okay,
Good
I-
question.
If I could just say one more thing, it's
Sure.
really important to me that this balances, not that it's 19,000 down. I do not want to see that exhaust system taken out and then possibly put in as a mid-year. We're just delaying.
The reason we would do that is if we got the grant
Yeah,
to cover the cost.
yeah.
And if we lower the Christmas party 3,000 and the other, so now we're looking at about a $60,000 surplus.
okay, Barry and Jack, we haven't forgot you yet. I just want to make a couple comments. Number one, it said here in the summary about this speed project. What, I thought we were not going to do a speed.
It's not a speed project, it's like Mike said last time, we're just getting the new calming signs and getting them upgraded and actually working them and putting them in the right spots. We're not measuring the speed, we're just getting new calming signs and then having them